Yo, what up? It's your boy H2O. Welcome back to another episode of the New Balance podcast. Man, it's so good to be back with you. And I want to say hello to my fam. Oh, man, thank you so much for rocking with your boy, rocking with us. This podcast is absolutely nothing without you. So we always start off by shouting you out and saying a huge gratitude of thanks, man, for rocking with the channel. We are in, I think, well, let me slow down because I'm a little excited. You see who my guest is. Um, I think this is a very incredible series that we've been doing, um, living inside of what's living inside of you. All of the guests, shout out all of the guests that's been on who's been a part of this to make this so special. But today, um, it's no doubt this is my most special guest. We started the year off and we did like a month long podcast talking about legacy. If you hadn't seen it, man, I encourage you to go out and take a look at it. Especially if you have children, kids. It doesn't matter if they're adult kids that don't even live with you anymore, man. Send them the link. Y'all sit down, watch it, chop it. I think it'd be a blessing. But New Balance podcast, show some love to my mini me, to this powerful young lady, Miss Nicole Hickerson. What up?
What's up?
What's
I'm
up,
back.
Nicole? You back, right?
Long awaited. Yeah.
Long awaited. Listen at her, long awaited. She back. She listen. You can talk like that when you know you getting ready to take a thing over. She know this her platform. We building this thing for her. You know what I mean? She gonna take this thing to places I couldn't even imagine. So, yeah, you can talk that way when you know it's yours, right? Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So what's been going on? Talk to us. What's the deal?
Wow, since the last time we talked a lot, graduating
Mm-hmm.
from high school and college, received my
Yeah.
associates,
Mm-hmm.
just turned 18, and there's
Mm-hmm.
just been a lot of preparation going on this summer for the next things to come this year with college.
Absolutely.
So a lot of exciting things, a lot of exciting things.
Yeah, man. This thing's been moving kind of like a locomotive. I was hoping it was going to be moving like a train, but it's like, nah, we got locomotion. We got locomotion action going on. And that's a good thing because we always on here talk about life. The scenery of life is going to constantly be changing, and rightfully so. So I dare not do this series, Living Inside of What's Living Inside of You, and not have you on. I think you are the epitome of that as well. You're definitely a world changer. You are definitely a dream chaser. And I think when I look at the landscape of the guests that I've had on, um, everybody, no matter what their age, you can tell the different seasons and the stages that they're either coming out of or the stages and seasons that they're going into. And
Yeah,
a lot of that has to do with you living inside of what's living inside of you. When you actually tap into the thing that's living, moving and breathing on the inside of you, it'll be like a roller coaster ride, but it'll be a
yes,
roller coaster ride for your good. So in other words, there are twists, there are turns, there are drops, right? There's an
right.
elevation period where you seem like you just at the top and you're just sitting there and there's no movement. Then all of a sudden you scale down. So when you move into the treasure or into the purpose and find out who you are, life is going to be moving. Life is going to be changing. So I want to say to you, not necessarily you, Nicole, but to you, Nicole, don't think it's strange when your life shifts and moves the way it does. So
Yeah,
we know that you're about to enter into a new season of school, college, and
yes.
we know what your major is going to be. But I wanted to kind of peel back some of the other layers in terms of some of the other things that you do in life. And one of the things to help us understand, I'll read our verse. We have a scripture verse that's kind of that we trampoline this whole podcast series off of, and it's found in 2 Corinthians 4:7. It says, "But we have this treasure in earthen vessels." So that's whomever's watching, whomever's listening, there's something in you that God Himself He placed in there. Or there's some things, right? If that's
Right.
proper English. So God placed them in there. Now watch this. Not only did God place them in there, but also God gives you the desire in your heart to want to fulfill those things. And
Yes.
sometimes there's something in you like, I know I should be doing something, right? Some of us know what it is, some of us don't know what it is. So I'm going to kind of tell this story. And then, well, I'll narrate part of this story, but you're going to actually tell us how the maturation process happened. So, one of the things we'll jump off into, I guess you were probably 6 years old, okay,
Oh, wow.
6, 7 years old. So, there's been many markers, right? You know what the markers are, right? There's been many markers in your life that me and your mom we saw was like, that's something that we need to put our hands on and push, right?
Right.
So this was you were 6 years old, you were a part of a competition. I won't give all the details, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But we were really nervous for you to be put in this position at such a young age. But lo and
Yeah.
behold, unto us, in front of hundreds, maybe not even thousands of people, man, you rose to the occasion and you killed the assignment. So when me and your mom we saw this, we were like, wait a minute, that's not the average everyday kid. So I automatically knew, okay, because she can handle this type of pressure at this age, right? And we saw some of the gifts in you that day. I understood there were some things that I needed to be pushing you in. Your mom understood there were some things we need to be pushing you in. So I want to talk to us about you being put into pressure situations, and then sitting back, seeing how God exposes what's on the inside of you. Talk a little bit
Wow.
about that, and then I'll ask you kind of the first question. But I want to talk to you about that because I've seen that happen time over time, over time, over time in your life. And I've said it on here before. I don't know why. I don't choose it to be that way, but just my life. I'm a better person. I work better. I think better. I perform better when I'm under pressure. I don't know why it's like that, but I'm just better in pressure situations. And so talk to us about that when God puts you in situations, because what I want to do is kind of help other people, help them recognize when there's a treasure moment. And that particular instance that I talked about, me and your mom recognized that's one of the treasures that she has in her, right? So you
Right.
can elaborate on that. Maybe necessarily not that situation, but talk about how did how does it happen for you? Because you're the individual that actually went through it and it manifested. So talk a little bit about that.
Wow. We went back like over a decade. Wow.
Hmm.
That situation in particular, to me, being in a situation, I didn't even see it as like a pressure situation, not necessarily that it was like a bad thing, but I just saw it as me doing my part for my team and going out
Hmm.
there and doing what I was supposed to do. And I just have fun doing it. And then not even fully understanding what I was being put into, that was like the blueprint for a lot of things that was going to happen in my life. And just going over the course of the years and different things that I've been a part of, particularly dance, that was a lot of pressure situations because, to different circumstances that just happen on the spot, I'm being put in a position to actually like to execute and perform at a different level that other people, weren't able to, or just, like in the situation just weren't meant to. And I kind of think that it built me and like molded me into something that not a lot of people can really say about themselves. And I think really that was a major marker for me and in God's plan, because looking back at it, it's like, wow, like, like that's not something you would typically see for a 6 year old or 7 year old.
Absolutely. So, okay, so you said something. You said, I didn't look at it as a pressure situation. So, listener, my viewers, I want you to hear this. E- She was 6 years old. She didn't look at it as a pressure situation. And she said, I didn't even know it was a pressure situation. but I looked at it as me doing my part to help my team. So to help you identify, some of you have been you've been operating in your gift or your treasure or the it for so long and you don't even know it, right? So obviously at 6 years old, she doesn't recognize it. God gives her parents to know enough to, okay, we recognize it. So we begin to teach you, we begin to point you and begin to push you in certain directions. Okay, good. So you just knew, even at 6 years old, like this is something that I'm supposed to do, which I don't know a whole bunch of 6 year olds that would even know that they were supposed to respond as I'm going to use your word, execute at that way, right? Okay,
Right.
so okay, that's one marker. Okay. So now we fast forward, that opened a door for so many other doors. So now what's happening is you begin to start voicing and you begin to start talking about things that you see or things that you think that you should be doing. Now, this podcast ain't long enough for us to talk about all the stuff that you wanted to do when you were in that season of life, right?
Right.
But what was so important about it was we saw as your parents that, man, we are introducing her to some things, but there are some things that she sees herself that she believes she should be a part of it. So, in
Yeah.
asking that question, we fast forward 12 years later. How did you choose the life and the passion that you live in right now? How did you choose it? Right? What was it about your life? What is it about your passion to make you make this choice to go this path?
I think everything just fell into place because really things started to really like make sense and like become clear around I think eighth grade. And I remember it so vividly because it was the time where I was deciding whether or not I should continue doing my sport or I should go into something
Mm-hmm.
different that I could possibly develop a passion for. And thank God I chose correctly because I did journalism and that's my first time being exposed to photography and just seeing the work that I was doing at such a young age, it was actually like it was really precise and getting a lot of praise from my teacher and all the recommendations she was giving me and all the lessons she was giving me. I was like, maybe I should maybe take this serious. And fast forwarding into maybe my freshman sophomore year, I started to look at different like editing software apps that you could download. I was taking pictures, trying different ideas to see could I actually like make something of this. And then, you and mom saw what I was doing. You asked me about it and y'all saw that I was passionate about it. And then that's when y'all invested into my first set of equipment. And then everything just took off from there, you know, messing around with the camera and, figuring out the different settings, looking into more advanced softwares. Who knew that a 14-year-old could start their own photography business and then just build it from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just branched off into so many other areas along with business and all the other opportunities I was presented with throughout the course of high school. So that was a jumping off point for me.
So now that's a fast. I'm sorry, that's a quick fast forward. So you can say from 6 years old
Yeah.
all the way up until you 13 years old. So that's a 7 year period. So now, not to mention, these are things that we're doing outside of, these are the things that we're doing outside of, the home. Obviously some of you get to do in school, but these are things that we're doing, through our home, outside of home. Now, we haven't even mentioned um, your upbringing and your background and your foundation in faith in terms of the things that we were doing as a family in ministry. So now I
Yeah.
want you to talk about, because when we talk about how did you choose the life of the passion you live in now, we know, but I want the audience to know, talk about how, um, you serving in the ministry and the assignments that you had, right? Talk about the
Right.
assignments that you were doing in ministry between the ages of 6 years old and 13 years old. that
Oh,
help
wow.
shape, mold, and also work alongside to help you realize some of the things that you were doing outside, right? As well. So talk a little bit about that because I want to paint a picture. I want to paint a picture. So if you're a parent, if you're a teen, if you want your teen to watch this and help them understand like what's on the inside of them, we want to give some nuggets on today.
Okay. I was basically born into the church. I developed a really close church family in the church that we were going to at the time. And just as a young age, I always gravitated towards certain things like dance, singing, helping out in like the children's ministry. And it was just a big part of who I was because that's how I spent my spare time. If I wasn't in school or at home, I was at church serving in prayer, helping out with the different classes that they had, help organizing our different church events that we had on our leadership team, and just different little nuggets like that that helped me realize that I have the potential to serve in these positions and actually make an impact to my community. And seeing it being played out at such a young age, I know how I can do all these certain things and I can have the connections to do it. So it played a
Mm-hmm.
major part. And then having parents that actually pushed me and kept me in church,
Right.
it made church not seem as like a chore, made it actually part of my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It really helped me see that actually serving and sacrificing and putting in time, I was able to reap my harvest at a later time. And I didn't know it
Right.
at a young age, but seeing it now, I know that it was tremendously beneficial for me.
Yes. Good, good. So that's good. Thank you for sharing that. I want you to think in terms of when you say the treasure, I want you to have a broad definition of like what that is, right? Because it's not just necessarily one thing in itself, is connected to everything that you do. The treasure that's in you, it will literally bless every part of your life once you know how to tap into it, right? So it doesn't
Right,
matter if you were at school because of the treasure that was on the inside of you, and because you begin to be aware of it, you reap the benefits of it in the school setting. Because of your treasure, when you would serve in ministry, right?
right.
It's the same principle. Also, as a family, there are things that we were doing as a family, right? That was
Yeah,
outside of school, that was outside of church. Same thing, that we make sure you tapped into your treasure. And when you tapped into your treasure, you could reap and get the benefits of it there. So no matter what you're in, the treasure, it displays itself in whatever way that you express it, right? So
right,
if you take, it doesn't matter, if you take a diamond ring, you could go to Jared's and see it in the display case, and they have the lights on it and it's all shined up. It's a beautiful diamond ring. You can purchase it that day, right?
right,
But a year later, you could be you could be out having dinner and wearing the ring. It's still a diamond ring, right?
right,
If you, no matter where you go, you can take it off, put it on your dresser. It doesn't change who it is. The diamond ring is a diamond ring no matter whatever. Even if you accidentally drop it in some mud, it doesn't change that it's a diamond ring. All you have to do is clean it, get it clean, wash it off, shine it back up. It will still be who and what it is. I'm saying that to say to you that what's on the inside of you is going to shine like that in whatever you do. Your job is to identify it and to embrace it, right? So,
right.
what about these particular passions that you have that wakes you up? And what about them that drives you in life, right? So,
Hmm.
what about these passions? Because I know the things that I do, they wake me up. I'm up at night. I may go to sleep, but I promise you, sometime early in the morning, whatever time, I wake up and I'm thinking about these things that I'm passionate about. I'm thinking about how I can be better, or how can better I serve, or what edge can I have on it? What other unique way can I present it? Who can help me do it? How can we do more of it? These are the type of things that drives me. These are the type of things that wake me up. Even when I'm doing certain things, other tasks, I still think about these other passions. So what about that drives you in life, that gives you purpose?
I know that my passions can have an impact, can make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And being the first in the family just to get a degree and to graduate high school at the same time, that shows me that that I have to get up and keep the same mentality that I had while I was in school. So during this time of being in between being in between school, I have to keep the mentality of okay, I have to wake up and be productive. I have to do something to continue to be on top of my skills, because you never know when an opportunity may present itself, and you always have to be ready. And then also it's just, I know that I am the definition of a generational curse breaker in our family, because I know that all the things that I'm doing right now in life, it is a testament to a whole generation that I'm going to reach when I'm older, that can help motivate them to be the first in the family to do things. And being in the position that I am, I know that I am held to a certain level of expectation to do what I have to do and to prepare and execute in the different areas of my life that I'm going to go into.
Hmm. That's good. That's good. So when you have the responsibility and you are, because if I hear you correctly, you being the first to do some things, it kind of reminds me of a torchbearer, right? The torchbearer has a
Right,
responsibility that some of the others don't. And when you have when you're the torchbearer in a certain area, so let's say that you're the torchbearer in the area as it relates to education, right? So you're gonna blaze a trail, right? You're gonna carry a torch, and you're gonna blaze a trail in an area that no one else in the family and our initial family has done. It comes with a certain responsibility, it comes with a certain weight, right? So
right,
when you have that kind of responsibility, you have to have a super, super laser focus. Now, this is how you have that laser focus. Part of you having that laser focus is you resting and relying on the treasure or the treasures that's been placed on the inside of you.
right,
Those treasures, the Bible says it this way, your gift will make room for you, right? It didn't say that Harry would make room for Harry. It didn't say that Nicole would make room. God says this gift would make room. When it makes room, it's gonna do something that you don't have the ability to do. That's why
right,
it's important for you to find out what treasures you have. It's why it's so important to find out what giftings that you have, because if you don't operate in those giftings, doors and avenues and places that was meant to be open for you, they'll never be open because you're not operating in the key. These are like keys that give you access to other things that God wants to do for you. So you see how important it is when we say living inside of what's living inside of you. The majority of people end up living inside of what's in the inside of others, and they chase that their whole life. And what they do is end up wasting time, which you'll never get back. You waste resources, you waste money, and you waste energy. And when we look at the scope of what we've been through as a society in the last 3 years, all of us, if one thing we understand and we should value more than anything is our time, because it's so
right,
precious, right? So while you have the strength, while you have the energy to do it, we need to be making these times count for us. So it's so important, especially all my young people who are watching. Take advantage of these seasons and these times so that you can add value to your life. Because if you don't walk in these things, you you lose years off of your life. Who better than that knows that better than me? I know, like, when you don't finish something on time, that means you have to repeat it. Yeah. So I
yeah,
know what it's like to repeat a couple of things. That means I have to invest time and do something over when I should have moved on and be in a different season. So all of these components work together for our good, right? So
right,
I want to go back to you're talking about living on the inside. So starting a business, multiple businesses actually, um, it's very doable and it is possible for you to do it, right?
Right.
When you think about the regular high school experience versus your Clear Horizon experience, um, talk a little bit about pros and cons of both of those because we know you chose the Clear Horizons, but you're reaping the
Yeah.
rewards of the Clear Horizons, right?
Yeah.
For those who don't know, um, she's getting ready to leave next month. She's getting ready to leave for college soon, and when she steps on the college campus, she'll be a junior in college. So you're reaping the rewards. So talk about um, high school experience and Clear Horizons because right before you went to high school, I was like, man, if you want to, man, there's an opportunity for you to do something. You have a gift to do it. And I was thinking, man, you might should pursue it because you still gonna be able to do the academic, and you could get a athletic scholarship too. But talk about the pros and cons because I know there are some teenagers that'll get to watch it or parents that have teenagers and they're trying to help them navigate decision making, what they should be doing because now that those high school years those 4 years go by so fast. I
Yeah.
promise. It seems like it takes forever to get to high school, but as soon as you get there, it's like a blink. I mean, it's here and it's gone. So talk about the pros and cons of regular high school versus the choice that you made and the impacts of it.
Wow. So the difference, I think, with regular high school, one, you do get sports at your school. We that was something we had to sacrifice at our school. We don't really get events like that. So the student body and different clubs are in charge of planning stuff like that. And sometimes it can be, disheartening because it's something that you had to give up. And although you can go to your home school and do it, it's not necessarily the same, because there's such a big like environmental change because our school is actually on a college campus. So we're surrounded by adults all day, 5 days a week. And we're kind of held to a different standard because we're expected to act like adults, you know what I mean? And we're just held to at a different standard to excel because transitioning from middle school, especially with me specifically, I did not take AP classes, pre AP classes. I did all regular, and it was my eighth grade year that I decided to take one pre-AP class. And going into Clear Horizons, you off the bat, you're taking AP college classes, and it's a huge transition and huge adjustment period. And although it's a great opportunity to get ahead and take those classes and not have to take them in high school and not high school in college, it's a real test of whether or not you're resilient
Right.
to adjust to change, especially for me because it was a huge change in workload. And
Mm.
thankfully, there was a great support system at school. The teachers were very understanding and they offered you extra tutorials and help if you needed it. Also, I feel like a con for would be um, just being expected to act like an adult when you're 13, 14, and you just transition out of like a whole different environment. Um, I would say a pro would be definitely the opportunities you get because um, you you get to be able to have different mentorships
Mm-hmm.
at Clear Horizons. Specifically, me, I had a business marketing mentorship, and it was a great experience being exposed to the marketing field. And I had a great mentor. Shout out Miss
Mm.
Shavana. She was great. The team was amazing,
Shout out to
and
Miss Shavana. Yeah, for sure.
yes. That was a huge eye opener for me because I was able to actually have a hands-on experience on what I wanted to pursue. I would say a con is just having time management and balancing everything because you still have
Yep.
to balance your high school classes.
Yep.
And it can be very stressful and overwhelming because I've had to sacrifice a lot of nights of sleep, just staying up, studying, doing projects. And it seemed like in the early years, it seemed like senior year and graduation, was taking so long because you hear about all these great things you're going to accomplish, but time is very precious, and like it seems like time is not going by fast, but really the weeks, they go by and you can easily get behind. I would say another pro is just the environment, because you're exposed to something that not a lot of high school people are exposed to.
Right.
And you get to make connections with your professors and just partake in different events and clubs on campus. And it's just a great way for you to actually see what you're going to partake in at university, or whether different education you're going to pursue. It was a great
Right.
eye opener for me, and it helped me grow and mature in different areas at a quicker rate. And it's very beneficial because I have learned so many skills on how to handle business, whether that be in a mentorship or with teachers or anything, or just with students in general. And
Right.
our clubs and just like different leadership roles that I've held, it's just a great way, not only to build your resume, just to help mold you as a person. So
Yeah.
yeah, there are a lot of things with
Yeah.
that.
No, that's wonderful, man. That's a great perspective on it. I wanted you to share that because um, I'm really I want to use this segment too. I have parents in mind. I have their children in mind. Um, I'm glad you shared that because one of the reasons you have that perspective is um, I was a product of just heavily being in sports when I was in school, high school.
Yeah.
Now I wasn't a bookworm. That type I wasn't in the top percentage of my class or anything like that. Actually, I was a poor student, not because I didn't have the ability. It's just I didn't focus on going to class. I didn't focus on doing my work. Period.
Yeah.
But I was really focused. I really wanted to. My attentions was really wrapped up into playing sports. Obviously, I did it in high school, and I got a chance to go off to college and do it. Right. But
Right.
one of the things in my adult life, I begin to have revelation about keeping things in perspective. What do I mean by that? I think about all of the time that I spent preparing as an athlete, um, even after college. I mean, even after high school, when I was in college, spent a lot of time preparing as an athlete. Obviously, I'm not doing any of that in my adulthood. And let me be very clear, and then I want to be careful with this next statement that I make. So for me, there are two mindsets.
Hmm.
If you have been in the sports like that,
Hmm.
you can take what you use, even if you're not playing it professionally or anything like that, you can take it and apply it for life. You definitely can. So I'm not saying it's wasted time. It's not wasted if you apply it. But my mindset, that would be secondary. My first mindset would be this: I will look at it and weigh it on the scale. If I'm never going to be it, I would dare not invest that type of time and money into it, and it's not going to reap any rewards later. It makes
True.
more sense for me to invest. If I'm going to invest money and time, it makes more sense to invest it in the thing that I'm either going to do or the thing that's going to springboard me into the thing that I'm going to do. So I'm using your example of you um, making it because we had to make this decision as a family,
Yes.
right? It wasn't going to work if I wasn't on board, or if mom wasn't on board, or if we had to make a family decision. And then I had some concerns in the beginning stages of it,
Yeah.
as any parents were, but it wasn't
Yeah.
negative concerns. I'm the type of person, I just need to see the whole picture. um, I'm not wooed and wowed by pictures and promises. Let's see what the whole plan is. How's it going to impact us in the long run? Once we got all the information, right? And
Right.
then we made the decision as family, okay, let's do it. Because you have to understand, when you make that type of commitment, my upbringing and how I'm built is, when you commit to something, you need to finish it. And
Yeah.
so we need to be crystal clear that when you make this commitment, you weren't going to be able to roll back. You weren't going to be able to
Yeah.
change your mind. It's like, no, this is the hand that's
Yeah.
being dealt, and you're going to play it for the next 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So it takes it takes all of us doing it. And I think that was important too, because at first I wasn't 100% on board because I didn't have all the
Yeah.
facts of it, right? And I'm sharing
Yeah.
that because parents, you sometimes you guys may not be on board altogether. This is what you got to do. You got to massage it. You got to talk about. We just talked about pros and cons, right? You have to put the kid in the pressure cooker, and then you have to show them this is what the long term um, outcome is going to be. Even though she was excited about it, I wanted to make sure crystal clear that she had sat and thought about that means you're giving up this high school experience. That means you're going to
Yeah.
give up all those other things that you've been looking forward to doing. Are you sure you're crystal clear that this is the choice that you want to make? Once I
Most
knew without a
definitely.
shadow of a doubt that's what you wanted to do, mom had already done a lot of the homework and dug out information. Once I got my little piece that I needed to get over together as a family, we came together and said, okay, let's do it. And like that's
Exactly.
real. That like as a
Yeah.
family, that's what it's gonna take for you
Yeah.
to do it. The
And I
same
really want
thing.
to,
Go
yeah, and I want
ahead.
to interject in this one because I'm so glad you brought that up because that was something that required tremendous sacrifice. I mean,
Hmm.
tremendous on everybody's part. And I want to consider this a con because it came with the job description basically.
Hmm.
With the workload, I can count on both hands how many times I have had to stay back at school, probably like until nighttime just to work on stuff.
I already know.
It became a routine for mom to come out of her way to drive into Houston to campus to pick me up and then take me home. And that was just a 30-minute drive to school. So it required a sacrifice on everybody's part, but it
Yeah.
paid off in the long run. Because I remember we sat down and we had all the paperwork, we had all the information. And you
Yeah.
asked me, you said, Nicole, like, are you ready for this responsibility? Because, not
Yeah.
having been exposed to any of that in
Yep.
school, that was a huge decision that I'm happy that we made. But there were so many different parts to play because it became part of my
Yes.
routine. Like in the day, like to stay after school, probably 4 or 5 hours after school got out, just working on stuff. And
Right.
thankfully for the great support system of teachers that I had, they allowed me to work in the classroom so that, if I needed help on anything, they were there. But it was just, it was just, yeah, it was a tremendous sacrifice. And I think that's very important to mention. I'm happy that you brought that up
Yeah.
about that.
But see, that's once again, it's parts. That's from the that's from the team perspective. But the team perspective of it doesn't understand the financial support and sacrifice that it also took.
Yeah.
Right? They're different. There's so they're parts. So you have to sit down and you have to count it. Now that is bad, but it helps you make the long term. And everybody that's a part of it know that we're all going to make these sacrifices, to be able to do it. So when you can have a gift, you can live in the treasure. But the reason I'm sharing this is I want you to also see when you make up in your mind you're gonna live inside of what's inside of you. There's a sacrifice. Oh man, it's a blood, sweat, and tears sacrifice, right? But I promise you, when we were at both of those graduations, there was no blood. Um, there were tears of joy. It was definitely
Yeah.
worth it. It was definitely worth it. Was it hard? It was hard. But when you start reaping the rewards, you'll understand um, what you sacrificed in order to get there. So when we talk about what about your passion wakes you up, your passion it'll definitely wake you up and will drive you. The other
Yeah.
part of it is this: how do you navigate the tough season, the tough moments, and the tough times? Because I don't want to talk about passion without talking about pain. And I think we get in trouble. Like this day we live in, motivational speaking, inspirational coaches, and life coaches. And I've wore all of those hats and still will wear them. But what happens is they fail to properly express to you the pain portion of it. See, some motivation, like I wouldn't dare talk to you about the pain of it. I'm gonna just motivate you. I just want to motivate you. That's not true motivation. That's not true coaching if you don't talk about the pain of it. And so, um, seeing you having to go through some of the things you went through, that's the pain portion of it. Did my heart go out to you? It did. But did I feel sorry for you? I did not feel sorry for you, because I'm like, these are the greatest lessons that she's gonna ever learn. Because I'm not looking
Right.
at where you are. I'm looking 10 years down the road where you're going, and the thing that you're going to have to do that's going to sustain you once you get there. It's not a problem getting there. I promise you, you guys, you're going to arrive at your place. But what happens is we'll arrive there. The key to the whole story is not arriving, it's being able to stay there, right?
Right.
So living inside of what's on the inside of you is very, very critical. So let's listen to this. We'll come back to the business part, but I want to ask you a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to name two things, or two ways that we can make families better and communities better, as it relates to you living inside of the thing that's inside of you. What is it about what God has placed on the inside of you that you would like to use to help make families and communities better?
Wow. I think probably the most important thing is understanding each other's languages, because there's easy miscommunication and misdirection in so many different areas. And being able to have the opportunities that I had and see, especially like in my mentorship, how well Miss Shavana and her team were able to produce the people's visions and actually understand what they were articulating and things like that. I think that's a major key to fixing and fixing communities and families. I believe.
So communication,
Yeah.
communication, understanding, being able, um, communicating better. So let me see if I can even break it down more. So with your with your business marketing, your IQ, the gifting that you have to be able to bring something that somebody else has and be able to articulate it back to them to help them move forward. You're saying through that communicating, is a critical component to making that happen. If I understand, is that correct?
Correct.
Correct. Okay, so I agree with you. Communication is a big key that we all have to work on in the day and time that we live in, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so one is communication. Give me another one. What's another way you living on the inside of the thing that's living inside of you can help families and communities? One is communicating. Give me another one.
I think the second one should be getting to the root of different issues and acting on it. I feel like identifying the issue, yes, is step one, but you also have to act on it and figure out ways to actually resolve it. And and piggybacking off of my mentorship, just figuring out different problem solving ways that is so unique to every person's different needs and wants. I feel like that was a great way to like bring people together and like actually um, solve different things. And I feel like you can implement that into families and the community as well.
Getting to the root of the problem. And what was the other
Yes.
part of that?
And communicating and identifying it.
Okay, so no,
Identify.
communicating is the first one. The second one is getting to the root of the problem, and you said something else.
And to identify it.
Identified and getting to the root of it. Okay, so what does that look like in your gift?
And my gift for me especially, and in my gift, I have a natural knack just for being a great listener and just for being a great communicator in so many different platforms, and just listening to different people's stories and the different things that they're going through, and actually using the different skills that like I have learned over the years to actually act on it and figure out ways to solve it. So, and you are a prime example of it with your Hope Symposium, going back to your hometown and actually offering scholarships and doing different things for your community and offering different help and mental health and all these different things. So,
There we go. There we go. Okay, that's what I want to hear. So if you're watching, and we talked about there is a myriad of ways that we all can help. What I want you to do is hopefully after you listen to these episodes or you see these episodes, however you view them or hear them, I hope there's something turning over turning over in your heart to be like, maybe I am doing something. I'm not, and please, there are so many people doing wonderful things, but there's still always room for improvement. So for me, I was already doing things before this podcast even existed. We have been doing things for years, right? This
Years.
is just something added and something at a greater level and a greater reach. Okay. But I was thinking, man, there's so much more that I can do. There's so much more that we can bring to the table. So I have to look on the inside of the things that are living inside of me. And I'm like, light bulb moment. We've been a family tribe and doing it as a family tribe for years. I'm like, my gift, I think it's incredible. I do, but it can only go so far, right?
Right.
Whenever you look at some of the most successful stories in the world, they're teams. It's teams of people that did the great, outstanding, phenomenal thing. And many times you may see a particular individual and they may get a lot of the credit. But when you begin to do the investigation, they were a part or they led an incredible team. So I said, that is the place that I really want to nail down and pour all my efforts into. Let's build a team, right? There
Right.
is a saying, if you build it, they'll come. That is not true. That's not true. We have a place that's not far from here, and I love chicken. There's a chicken. It's a chicken spot that opened. It was open in about 3 months. That joker has boards on the windows and everything. Now watch
Uh-huh.
this. The same franchise. It's in the city where I work, and it's doing
hmm
very well. So it's not true. If you build it, they'll come. No, no. Listen to it. If you build it, they'll come. No, no, no. When you build people, it's a difference. I'm
Wow.
not a it. I'm a person. When we build and we invest in people, I'm telling you, you'll get your return. It's a God principle. God cares about people. He's concerned about people. So when you take the thing and you do the thing that God is the most passionate about, which is people, you take his language and make it your language and you use it within the gifts that he's given you, you'll begin to see phenomenal things happen and begin to break forth in your life. So this
Right.
team dynamic that we have, I promise you, I believe this with all my heart, and I'll say it. We're coming to a city near you. We're coming to your city. If you're a school, we're coming to a school near you. Look in the backdrop. Get used to seeing that name. Get used to seeing that flame. I'm telling you, we're coming. We're coming. Nothing can stop it. Nothing's going to stop it. We're coming. And we're coming with a purpose and a heart and mind specifically for you. And this topic of living on the inside of what's living on the inside of you, I'm not going to get off of it until I know it's time to. This may be 20 episodes by the time we're finished, but I'll keep talking. I'll keep talking until it's time to get off of it. Why? Because we see the great need in our families and in our community. So um I want to share this, and I waited to the end to share this because I think it's important too for parent um, children relationships. Um, at the root of who we are, and the primary in this relationship. Um, um, Me and my wife, we lead our family. We lead the family. We set the example, all that, and majority of the information we get the information and we pour it into our children, right? But I have to be honest with you. In my parenting, my kids have put me in school and I have learned some of the greatest lessons through parenting. Not negative. I don't mean negative. I just mean from a parental place. And a lot of the practices that I practice in my business are lessons learned from my family, right? Um, when we talk about families and communities, some of the best lessons we learn are just when we work with each other. At times, can it be tedious? Absolutely. We can pluck each other's nerves like nobody's business, right? But if you can ever learn to step outside of it at times and have the ability to look back at it and see the lessons that can be learned, I promise you it can make relationships better. It can make your relationships better. I believe our family is the better because of these situations, right?
Yes.
And I know without a shadow of a doubt, like this whole business portion and media portion of the business, I we know, the young lady sitting next to me, she's gonna be, this is her gonna be her baby. This is her. She knows it. It's no secret. I'm sharing it publicly because I want you to begin to think about how. Now it may not manifest the way ours manifest, right? Because it's according to what God has for you, right? But
Right.
if you can begin to think along those lines, right? Like the things I'm doing now, it supersedes our kids. It has everything to do with our grandkids and our great grandkids. So in order to build legacy, now I'm dipping into what we did early in the year. In order to build a legacy, one of the things we said, there has to be markers. There has to be a place where we can see the hand of God. God wants to put his imprint on every generation, right? So God's already put his imprint on my generation. Now he's putting the imprint on my daughter's generation. And those imprints and those markers going to have to be there, not for us, because we're already living. It's for those that are coming. So part of what you do, it has to be a greater goal. Some of the stuff, and listen to me, some of the things that you do has to be for people you'll never get to meet. I never met Dr. Martin Luther King. I never met him. I never met Harriet Tubman. I never met him. Right? I never met. I could just go on down the line of people who made tremendous impact, so that others could be beneficial. Right? I never met my great great grandfather, but yet I did meet him through what he did and left in the earth for me. So we have a tremendous responsibility to put markers and leave imprints for those that are coming behind us. This
Right.
living inside of what's living on the inside of us, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. God thinks generationally. He thinks generationally. So this is something, over these next 4 years, um, obviously, and I'm saying this to you because this is how I process it. We live in the same house. This podcast is happening. She's in her room. I'm in my room.
Yeah.
And she asked me, well, aren't we going to do it together? I said, no. I said, we're not going to do any more podcasts together the way we have. It's time for me to embrace the new season that you're in. You have a life. You're going to be traveling, doing things. So I have to make the adjustment to your life now. I don't even see you as the same young lady. I can't treat you as the same young lady. So for me as a parent, I have to make the adjustment. So I say, we're going to start. This is just simple. Don't even go to your room, have a podcast in your room. Because if she and I decide, well, hey, Dad, I got this idea. Maybe we should do a podcast. Well, hey, she's going to be off at college. I'm like, let's do it. She has everything there. She knows the production. She knows what to do. We both get on, and then we can bless the world. Like those are the type of things that you prepare. You
Hmm.
prepare. Like I did it on purpose at the beginning of the year. I wanted us to do it together. So when we go back and we look at it, we can look at the beginning of what God began to do. And then as we go back and we put it into the stamp of history, she'll see, oh my God, I see exactly what God was doing then for now. And I want to have record of it. What you do, you should have record of it. Think about this. And we have to close because man, I want to talk about a whole bunch of stuff now. But
Yeah.
um you guys know I'm from country boy, East Texas, man. Long Lake, Texas, stand up. You like Long Lake, Texas. Where in the world is that? I know it's in East Texas. Trust me, it's a place. I remember we didn't do a lot of it, but there were times my grandfather, did some work and they would have to go cut down trees. And, down there we have those big humongous big oak trees that have been standing for, oh my God, for years. But depending on what people wanted to do on their property, they needed somebody who was skilled in knowing how to cut them down. So my grandfather, we would go with him. And man, I'm gonna tell you the most powerful thing to me is when I can't remember if it was the oak tree. I forget which tree, but I remember one tree, man. We cut it down, and when we got it down, and it was the stump that was left before they grind it out. The most beautiful thing, I'm telling you, you got to go out and Google a picture of it, is to see a tree and all of the rings. It's beautiful to me now. And each ring represents something. The outer ring is the biggest ring, but the closer you get to the center, each ring gets smaller and smaller. But it's a timestamp. And so I don't know where you are in the time step or in the ring of life. There's some other rings that have to come. So what you want to make sure is that you don't mess up the ring time stamp for the other rings that need to come. I'm gonna give you a homework assignment. Go out and Google a tree stump with rings, and I want you to take a picture of it, download it, and I want you to implant that in your mind that I'm a part of the ring, but there's a possibility the other rings don't come if I don't do what I'm supposed to do in the whole scheme of all of these rings. I'm trying to think of a movie. It's a scene in a movie where they do that. I can't think. Oh, I do know. It's the movie Down in the Delta, which is a great movie to watch, especially about family and generations. It's in that movie, but I saw it real time because my grandfather did it. And so you're looking at two rings that are part of a greater ring. And then there's some other rings that are coming after us that's going to have impact. Why? All because this ring and my wife, she's not on camera, but she's the ring. We decided that, hey, we're going to be the ring in this circle of rings. And there's some other rings that have to come after us. Man, New Balance podcast, put your hands together for I won't even say my little mini me. This is my big mini me. She's a young woman, man, and she's definitely coming to her own, man. And I'm rocking for her, man. She's gonna turn this world upside down. Her, all of my kids, our other daughter, our son, man, they're gonna do both of. We got a whole slew of kids. That's what my grandmother said. We got a whole slew of kids, right?
Oh
And
my gosh.
I'm not going to be satisfied till all of us are living inside of what's inside of them, right? So before
Right.
we get out of here, I always give my guests closing words. So Nicole, um, what closing words do you want to share with us on today? What is it that you want to leave us with, and or what nugget or what wisdom? What is it? What do you have for us? Or I don't know. You may not have wisdom. You may just be hungry and ready to get off. What's up? Right? Because I'm hungry.
We just been dropping nuggets. I had a great time, like
Oh yeah,
always, and
yeah.
I
This is
enjoy
always
doing
good.
podcasts.
Yeah,
I,
this
I
is
I
good.
always enjoy doing podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Just be a catalyst for change.
Oh
Dropping
man,
little nuggets.
don't even start it. See, she low down. She throwing low blows. She know what she did. I'm not gonna touch it. But she's right. No, you need to be a catalyst for change. Yeah, you need to be a catalyst for change. That's the title of my new book that's coming. It's got that fire on it. Um, as my other kids say, it's got that sauce on it. It's coming. I promise you. It's gonna be a game changer. We're excited about it. Um, I think no, I don't think because we'll start a whole nother conversation. But get used to seeing these faces. I'm sitting here too. I'm like, what's gonna happen where I'm sitting where she's sitting, and then she's sitting where I'm sitting. That's gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna be on her podcast, right? I'm not gonna
Right.
look. I'm gonna be rowdy too. I ain't gonna act right, man. I might bring my grandkids on the podcast. Ain't no telling what I'm
Oh
gonna
my
do.
gosh.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out of control, man. They gonna be like, man, he not acting right. No, it's just, man. I just have so much joy. God's been so good to us, man, and I'm just thankful. And I hope that these podcasts really, really are helping and hopefully not trying to, be a teacher or anything, but if we can just um, help us to maybe think differently or be open to some different information, it may be the key or the change in direction that you need that can usher you to the place you need to be. Well, listen, it's your boy H2O. It's the future. What is it? Do you already know what your podcast name is? You don't even have it, right? You don't have it
That's
yet?
in the works. I'm not
It's in
gonna
the
drop
work.
nothing
Okay,
yet.
so
I'm not gonna
I
drop nothing yet.
that's right. She's not gonna drop nothing. Okay, so it's H2O, and then it's M it's N no it's NMH02. I'm trying to make up a name. It
Oh
ain't
my
even ringing.
gosh. We'll
It's
figure it out
we'll
later.
figure it out. It's NH2. You got H2O and you got NH2. Ah, there it is. Ah, that's I don't know. That sounds
Oh.
crazy. I know I might have to edit that part out. Who knows? But anyway, it's your boy H2O. As we always say before we get out of here, it's strength for
Strength
today,
for today,
sustenance for
sustenance
tomorrow.
for tomorrow.
It's your potential conditioner, H2O and NH2. We love you and we'll see you next episode. Peace. Deuces.
Peace.